Welcome back to Stanwood High School. Kind of. It might look like I'm in my classroom, but I'm not. I'm actually at home. I have chalkboards in my office at home, which should not come as a surprise to any of you who actually know me. But here we are. Even though we're not in the school, that doesn't mean that we can't learn. I've said for many years that most of the best learning actually happens outside the walls of the school. That's why I take kids to Iceland and Alaska, because that learning is huge and something you can't do in the school. Now, when I've said that, this is not exactly what I had in mind, but it's what we've been given, and so we're going to make the best of it. We're going to have a fun adventure, and we're going to learn a lot. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Mr. Swanson. I will be your AP Statistics teacher this year. I know I'm looking forward to it. I love statistics. It is a great class. I know I did not particularly like it when I took it because a lot of stuff that we had to do was tedious and boring and not really applicable. When I took it, it was kind of right at that cusp between doing everything by hand and actually using the technology. So we had the technology and we knew how to use it, but the teachers were used to doing it all by hand. And so that's what they were doing, and it just seemed kind of pointless. In statistics, it's not so much about doing the calculations. Yes, we do the calculations a little bit with small sets of data, but that's not the focus. The focus is, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And then what does it mean afterwards? Like that middle step of how you do it is going to be mostly technology, especially if we have any legitimate data set. Yeah, there are some tedious calculations that we'll do with like a data set of 3 or 5 where it's actually manageable. But when we actually do it and we have a lot of data, we're going to use technology. We're going to use a calculator. We're going to use a computer. We're going to use something like that. And so the first thing, so this video is just an introduction. We're going to go over some of the basic things, but we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty on things I'll talk about the website, but I'm not showing you how to use it yet. That'll come in a later video, probably the next one. In fact, you might be getting it at about the same time as this one. But the first thing I wanted to mention was work ethic. Now, work ethic is something that's huge anywhere. But as we found out in the spring, it's really easy when you're at home to just kind of slack and not care about your classes. That's not going to work out very well, partly because we have more guidelines to go with, and partly because we're not just kind of coasting out the end of the year, we're starting something new. Granted, statistics starts out pretty easy. It starts out with stuff that you probably know already. We will get into stuff that you've never done before. But in the beginning, yes, we're going to talk about mean and median and mode and histograms and bar graphs and things like that. Yes, you know how to do these, but it is something that we do need to discuss briefly. But work ethic. I have had a quote in my syllabus for a number of years now. I don't know who said it, and it's pretty short. All it says is, those who work, learn. Now that goes for more than just this class, and it goes for life in general. The people putting in the work are the ones learning the lessons. And so like if we're in class and I'm the one doing all the work and you're just kind of writing stuff down, then you're not the one learning, I'm the one learning. At home, like in this distance format, it's a little bit different, but it still applies. So, assignments. How do we do stuff? Luckily, we just got new statistics curriculum, like this year. It actually has nothing to do with the distance learning. It was just lucky coincidence. Why I say lucky is because unlike our old curriculum, this has some amazing online resources. Things that will make this distance learning in this class much more possible. and hopefully even fun. And I'll show you a lot of stuff on this site in the next video, but just some basic things. Assignments. You'll do your assignments online. And what's nice is that when you get the question wrong, it will give you a hint, and then it'll give you another hint. If you get it wrong 3 times, it will walk you through a similar question so that you can learn from your mistakes and get it right. Because that's what the homework's about. It's about learning. It's about fixing those mistakes. Like, I wouldn't expect you to get everything right the first time. If I did, there'd be no reason to do the topic at all. We'd just skip it and move on to the next one. So assignments are online. Tests and quizzes are also online. Unlike the assignments, though, you don't have multiple tries at each of the questions. You only get one shot at it. And so you want to make sure that you know what you're doing before that comes up. It also has a study plan online. It's another case, and this is where it takes each section, each chapter, I'll talk about that in just a second, and it takes the objectives from it, gives you some practice, and a quiz for mastery that's just like 3 to 5 questions long. If you do those, I'll give you extra points. So what I said, so most math books are broken down. You have like a few chapters, like 10 chapters or whatever. And each chapter is broken into a bunch of sections. The statistics book, we are going to cover 26 chapters, I think, 24 chapters maybe, which is fun. I think it's 24 chapters, and we have 26 weeks to do it. But it's not broken down like that. Like, the chapters are actually the sections, and then we'll have parts. So our tests won't be like on chapter 1. The tests will be on part 1, which is like chapters 1 through 5. So when we look at chapters, that's more sections. Also, this book, unlike most math books you've ever had, it's actually meant to be read. I'm going to assign reading to you. You will be reading this book. Some of it is actually quite funny. I'm partway through it because if I'm going to assign it to you, I'm going to read it myself, cover to cover. And there are times when I've actually had to put it down because I was laughing. Now, yes, I'm a math teacher, but I think this is actually kind of funny just for anybody. Sometimes it's just kind of bland, but it's readable. Like, I would never assign someone like a pre-calculus book to read. That would not work out well. But this is actually meant to be read, and it will have details there that we just won't be able to get to in all of our lessons. So it is important to keep up with the reading. That being said, you don't actually have to check it out. It's online. Like, the whole thing's online. If you want to check it out because you like the paper and the bound paper, feel free. But if it's going to just level your table for the next year, and then you're going to forget where it is and take a fine for a brand new book, maybe you just read it online. I know personally I like reading things on paper. I don't read stuff online very well. Other online tools that we have, and I'll show you what these are, but there are some videos there, like some lesson videos, some that don't go with a specific lesson but go with the topics that are really good. I'm going to try and either incorporate them into my lessons, or I'm going to assign them. I don't know exactly what I'll be able to do with them, but we're going to watch some of them, and they are generally amusing, and they make some of the points that are commonly missed they make them well. They make them very visually, and they're only a few minutes long each. It's not like a full lesson. It's a 4-minute little video clip. There's that. There's a thing called StatCrunch, which all of our data sets in the book are in there, and it'll allow us to make graphs, to do the analyses and stuff with these full data sets. That the full thing isn't even printed in the book, but it allows us to use real data sets, because real data sets aren't, oh, we have 20 times. It's we have 300 times, and that's not something you want to have to enter in. And generally speaking, you wouldn't even enter it in if you were doing it. A lot of times that stuff is collected automatically. So we'll learn how to use that and make graphs and stuff using that technology, and do inference using that technology. There's also some success tools. Some of it's like college prep, like college success tools, which is really good. I'll show you what all that stuff is when I'm showing you all about the website. You can't get on it now. I have to give you an individual access code, so you don't need to try and find it yet. Google Meets and lessons. So the lessons will be videoed. I will record a video lesson. Don't worry, you don't have to actually look at me the whole time. You will, however, have to listen to me the whole time. I'm sorry. I'd love to get like Chris Hemsworth or Sherlock Holmes, I can't remember his name, to narrate for me, because I think that would be awesome, but they haven't returned my phone calls. Granted, I haven't called them, but still. But I will be filming lessons for you that will cover probably a chapter at a time, because remember, the chapters are actually sections. And there will be times when maybe I ask you to pause it to try a problem. Actually pause it and try a problem. That's that whole those who work learn thing. The nice thing about the video lessons is that you can watch them again. You can take screenshots, especially if you're watching it on your phone. I would be watching it somewhere where you can take notes. You can pause it, you can rewind it. I do not pause or rewind very easily. And your parents can watch it too. Sometimes parents like to see what it is that you're doing in school, and usually there's this big cloak of secrecy, like they can't come into the classroom. Well, your parents can watch any of the lessons. They can join any of the Google Meets. Hopefully they're watching this with you now, or you'll send it to them after the fact, so they can hear about the class as well. There'll be those lessons, then we'll have our Google Meets. The Google Meets will not be just a recap of the lesson. We'll be doing other stuff on the same topic. Maybe we'll be doing AP practice problems. Maybe we'll be doing some sort of a lab or some project or an extension that we didn't get to in the assignment. So it will be something different. It may be where I'm answering some questions, but hopefully most of the questions on the homework can be handled through the website as you're doing the homework and it's helping you through. This is new for me just as it's new for you, and so we'll make adjustments and stuff as needed, but that's my plan. One of the struggles to the video lessons is you can't ask a question right then and there. Write the question down, make sure that you ask it if I don't answer it later on in the video, but definitely get your questions answered. And I think that's about all that I have on my list right now that we had to talk about. So I'm looking forward to this year. I think it'll be a fun adventure. It'll be an adventure. Hopefully it'll be fun. We can make the best of it. I hope to see you in class at some point throughout the year, but until then, here we are. So I'll talk to you later, but until then, keep working problems, keep asking questions, and as always, happy mathing.